All right, let's talk about Kirk Ferentz. Why don't we? Going to bed late last night, heard my phone buzz, turned over. I decided to give it one more peek. Turns out I was up for another hour and a half looking at the news. Then it was being reported. It's been confirmed, and Kirk has addressed it himself at a press conference earlier this afternoon that he will not be coaching the very first game of the season against the Redbirds of Illinois State. Him and wide receivers coach John Budmeyer will be suspended for the very first game of this 2024 football season. It is a self-imposed, cooperating with the NCAA, a self-imposed University of Iowa suspension right now. And it is revolving around the transfer recruitment of Cade McNamara, quarterback, former Michigan quarterback at the time that this violation was committed. Now, of course, current Iowa Hawkeyes quarterback. It is the second self-imposed violation that has been reported by the University of Iowa and this football program this offseason. Kirk said at his press conference earlier today that it is a potential level 2 violation. They reported a level 3 violation earlier this offseason surrounding the transfer, once again, the transfer recruitment of Caden Proctor. We all know how that all ended up. That was an Iowa self-reporting a level 3 violation with impermissible contact after recruiting director Tyler Barnes sent text messages to Caden Proctor. We all know how that ended up. Caden Proctor collected his money from Iowa. Kalen DeBoer sent a couple of kids on spring break to meet up with Caden, and as I say, the rest is history. Now, as it pertains to this Cade McNamara deal, I want to first start from his point of view, because when he ended up transferring after that 2022 season, and then he committed very quickly to the University of Iowa. It was about 4 or 5 days after he entered the portal. He ended up committing to Iowa, and even like that first day after, there was a ton of smoke. Smoke was turning into fire 1 or 2 days after as it pertained to news that he was going to head to the University of Iowa. Now, two thoughts really popped into my mind at that point in time. Number one, he must not be hearing a lot of options, and he thinks Iowa is maybe one of the few places that he can land. That was one of the first things that popped into my head. And then the other thing, of course, that popped into my head was NIL. They offered him a lot of money. They realized the need that they had at the quarterback position, and they went out and tried to get it done. And, of course, they did get it done. The Swarm Collective, it is now known, the Swarm Collective at the University of Iowa paid Cade McNamara a lot of money to bring him to Iowa, to fix their offense, to fix their quarterback problem. Of course, the middle of last year, he goes out with an injury. Now, they paid him a lot of money, and now it is surrounding this NCAA investigation and this suspension for longtime head coach Kirk Ferentz. And there's a great possibility that Cade McNamara might not even be the starter by the middle of the year. That all of this money that was spent by the Swarm Collective and Cade McNamara coming in to try to fix this Iowa offense could all be for naught. And the suspension that was handed out, that was self-imposed, I should say, as a result of this recruitment. All of you put that together, and you could see Brendan Sullivan be the starting quarterback by the time we get into the meat of Big Ten Conference play. Like, that is a realistic possibility. Now, hopefully nothing more comes of this. You got to think, because of the self-imposed violation in regards to Caden Proctor earlier this year. And then, of course, you look at this thing with Cade McNamara, another self-imposed. They're trying to get ahead. Okay, a lot of schools do this. They try to get ahead, self-impose some of these violations so that the NCAA takes it maybe a little bit easier on them when it is their time to finally decide, when all of this comes time to decide from the NCAA point of view. Here's one thing I want to say on this suspension. If Kirk Ferentz, a guy that has generally followed the straight and narrow and has run a very true and a very honest football program, if he is suspended for one game, everybody in America, to level it up, should be suspended for one game. Because I guarantee you, I would wager half of my bank account that a majority of power conference coaches are doing a lot worse than Kirk Ferentz. They're doing a lot worse. Now, I know we got to try to get this tampering problem figured out in college football. I know it. I get it. And this is generally something that I bring up in the offseason, but it's right here and it's the right now. Look, I want us to figure out something with tampering. I don't trust the NCAA to figure that out. Now, of course, there's this House versus NCAA lawsuit, and hopefully that will help this. I don't think it'll take away from tampering. I don't think NIL is all of a sudden waving bye-bye to everybody just because we have salaries. I don't think that's going to happen. So my hope, when this is settled, when we can sign, seal, and deliver the settlement, is that we can figure something out as it pertains to transfer portal, tampering, NIL, and everything that goes around that. Because there's Southern schools, there's schools across the country that are doing a lot worse, and they're contacting kids a lot more, and they're contacting kids a lot sooner. That is the cold, hard truth. If you don't believe it, you need a reality check. That's it. That's it. It's very plain, and it's very simple. But right now, Kirk Ferentz is kind of the poster boy for this. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is because everybody in the country is doing it. If you want a significant advantage, you tamper. Plain and simple. I just saw an interview with Miami, Ohio head coach Chuck Martin that said Alabama stole our kicker. The interviewer said, "Oh, you lost your kicker." Well, he said, "No, he was stolen. He was stolen." And there's no penalty. There's no penalty. So suspend every coach in America for one game. Then let's level up. Let's figure it out because, man, let's not kid ourselves, man. This is happening all over college football. It's happening all over America. Now, the good news for the University of Iowa is that this will not affect them. It's the game against Illinois State. Seth Wallace is going to be the acting head coach in this game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So good experience for him to be able to lead a game day. Iowa obviously should win that fairly handily in that game. But, man, this is something. It's not going to affect Iowa all that much, but it's certainly something when you get this close to the season that you certainly don't want to have to deal with.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.